So my boys are 10 and 4, and they love to play here.
Oh, in the side yard?
Yeah.
Well, this is nice. It has a gate and you're away from the traffic.
It's kind of perfect for them, but there is something with the door that I'd like to show you.
Okay. This door right here?
Yes. It opens right onto the living room.
Oh, it's nice. All right, so what's the problem?
Well, I love a lot of things about the door, how it kind of matches the house, and I think it might be original even. But right now it's kind of hard for me to hear the boys when they're out there, and I'd love to keep a better eye on them.
Yeah, so what do you want to do?
I was thinking about replacing it with a Dutch door.
Oh, a Dutch door. So you want to keep the top open when the boys are outside playing?
Yeah, I think it'd be really nice.
Well, you can actually buy Dutch doors, which means we'd have to take the whole unit out and replace it with a new one. But I really like the character of this door. I like the glass at the top, the inset panels, the stiles and rails, and this hardware. You know, what about if we took this door and we cut it right here and made it a Dutch door?
I would love that.
All right, well, let's get some tools and we can get started.
Great.
All right, we've got our workstation set up outside to keep the mess outside.
I appreciate that.
Well, most of it anyway. Okay, so now I've marked the door where we're going to cut it.
Sure.
Now your door has 2 hinges. We need to add 2 more hinges.
Oh, sure.
Okay, so when we cut the door here in the middle, I need to add a hinge here and here, right where I marked the location of it. So I'm going to take a hinge, I'm going to lay it over my marks and trace around the outside, and that will be where I mortise it on the door.
Great.
And then the bottom. Okay, and now I'll just chisel it out.
So how do you know how deep to chisel?
Right now I'm estimating the thickness of the hinge, so I don't want to go any deeper than that. I'm cutting the grain of the wood so that when I chisel out these little pieces, I don't want this part to splinter off.
That looks perfect.
Okay, that's it right there. All right, now I'll chisel the next one down. Okay, so now that I've mortised for the hinges on the door, the next thing I want to do is I want to install the hinges on the door. Now we can trace and mortise the hinges on the door jamb. Now we added 2 hinges to the door and we want all the hinges to match, so we're going to replace your existing hinges with 2 new ones. Your old hinge is much thicker than the new hinge.
All right.
So what we need to do is put a filler in behind it to bring it flush. This is just a scrap piece of cardboard. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're actually going to cut the door right down the center of this stile right here.
Exciting.
Yeah, now I look at this deadbolt right here. I really don't like the location of it. Do you use it?
No, we don't. We have another one on the jamb.
Oh, okay. So we can take this out and patch it?
Mm-hmm.
We use the plug from the hole saw to fill the deadbolt hole. We use polyurethane glue for the plug, which is water activated. We'll fill the mortise on the side of the door with wood glue and a Dutchman. Okay, so now the polyurethane glue has dried and it's holding that plug in really good.
Wow, look how much that expanded.
Well, that's the benefit of that. It expands and will hold whatever you're trying to glue right in there. All right, both patches are in on the face and on the side, and the door is sanded.
Once we paint this, you won't even be able to tell.
No, it should blend right in.
Does that mean we're ready for the big cut?
Not quite yet. If I cut the door now, that means I'll have a gap on the center of the door, the thickness of the blade, and that will let air in and out. We don't want that to happen. So what I need to do is cut 2 wedge fillers that are going to go in that center. All right, here's our 2 pieces. We have a taper on the top of this piece and a taper on the bottom of this piece. They'll go in that center section of the door and fit like that. Now when you open the top door and you bring it in, it'll separate the two and create a little bit of a gap. As they close, the gap will become tight, sealing the air out. Now I have to cut the space in the door this thick. So our centerpiece will go in like this, right in the door.
Great.
We'll attach this piece to the underside of the top section, then hang the door and see how it fits. I'll get the door up where it goes if you want to put the hinge pins in.
Great, so exciting.
Okay. That's good. Okay, good. Now the next one. Good. Now we'll get the bottom one. Now let's see how it fits.
Oh, wow, this is great.
All right, that's pretty good. Now let's close the top and see what we have. You see, we still have a gap right there. So now we can attach the filler to the bottom section of the door and then fine-tune the fit. Okay, we were able to turn your door into a Dutch door.
Wonderful.
All you have to do is paint it.
Sure.
Now I've installed a barrel latch right here, so when you unlock it, you can just open the top and close the bottom. And now you can hear your boys playing in the yard.
This is so great. Thank you so much, Tommy, and thank you for coming to Nashville.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
You know, I like that trick of setting the new hinges while the old door is still hung, right? Most people be inclined to take it off, do the work, and then put the hinges back on later. But boy, that's the perfect time to do it, isn't it?
Well, I like it. To me, it saves a step. I mean, I could take the door off and put the hinges down. Then I got to measure from there and transfer those measurements.
Right.
Whenever you're trying to measure something, you always run the risk of a mistake.
Sure.
So this solves that problem.
The other thing I like is the opposing bevels, so that when top meets bottom of door, they're nice and tight. And I was thinking, you probably could have cut that door in half at an angle. That would have given you opposing bevels, but it really wouldn't have been tight.
No, it wouldn't have been tight. The door would have had to bypass, go further on the top to make that tight, and that wouldn't be right.
Yeah, because you still would have taken away the thickness of the blade, so the door would have gotten a little
And
smaller.
the thicker the blade, the wider the gap.
Yeah.
But also that piece, those 2 pieces that went on each door, also stiffened that door, because you think of that style right there. I cut it in half.
Oh, right.
So it went from 5 inches roughly down to 2.5 inches. So now it's weaker. So I wanted to add some strength back to that part of the door. So I then positioned it right across and attached it to the rails and glued it.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. That's a good one too. Cool.